The vast majority of businesses are doing keyword research all wrong. And especially in the SEO scene, I'm seeing a lot of distraction and chasing shiny objects where everyone wants to get into the AI overviews, all with the hope that they're going to get this tiny little reference citation and the hope that people who are looking for that answer are actually going to bother clicking through to that website, reading your content again, and then potentially buying from you. But let me tell you, it's just not going to happen. That's not to say that AI search is dead. I mean, if you can get ChatGPT to recommend you as a trusted provider of a particular product or service, then that's great. But this obsession with trying to rank in AI overviews is pretty much everything that's wrong with SEO today. And that's not anyone's fault. It's just focusing on the wrong things. And ultimately not focusing on revenue. I'm Stewart Vickers, known as SEO Jesus, although I'm taking a bit of a break at the moment, as you can see. Now I am temporarily SEO to head. We play rock and roll. Let me rank your website for. I made that joke in the last video, but never mind. And I've helped hundreds of businesses make millions online, both through my agency and my SEO courses. But today I have some gold for you, absolutely free on YouTube. Now, when people go down this sort of SEO rabbit hole, whether you're an SEO practitioner or you're a business owner trying to sell on Google, it's very easy to get obsessed with the idea of, I always want to be at the top for all these relevant queries. And this is the standard training that everyone goes through when they start first reading about SEO, that you want to go through and find all those questions people are searching for around your topic, in the hope that you can catch them when they're just in that browsing and research phase and funnel them towards actually making a purchase when they're in the buying phase. So what this means is, if we look at a Google result today, we've now got the AI overview at the top, we've got loads of paid ads, we've got people also ask, and then we finally have the organic results. Now, it was only a few years ago, none of this was really here. We'd have a couple of blue links at the top as sponsored ads, and then you'd be straight into the organic results. But over time, we've seen more and more cuts into the SERP real estate, the actual space on the Google result, where Google is basically taking away those clicks from the website owners. So even before AI overviews, we had a big problem with featured snippets, where again, people were obsessed with this idea of getting into the featured snippet, but then people were just getting their answer and clicking the back button and they were done, not actually clicking through to the website. But the fact of the matter is, there is really not much value in what we call these top of funnel queries. I had a client who was doing really well in the insurance niche, but they wanted to rank for pet insurance. Now, the insurance niche is out there where you've got all these wonderful sub niches. So you can go after all these different long tail keywords, all these micro niches. But with pet insurance, the search volume just wasn't there. You basically had pet insurance as the main keyword, and then some searches for multiple pet insurance, cat insurance, dog insurance. But that was kind of it. But they'd had such wins from content already, they were convinced that content really was king and they didn't want to focus on backlinks. So we tried persuading them that you're much better off building backlinks to that one pet insurance keyword and getting that ranking and converting, rather than trying to get all this traffic that was never going to convert. And ultimately, that's what happened. They were determined, let's write more content, let's go up in the funnel and answer all these questions about, can cats and dogs eat this, or what medications can they use? All this stuff that targeted pet owners, but didn't really connect them with buying pet insurance. No matter how hard we were with the calls to action, the pop-ups, we just couldn't actually connect the dots and get those people into a buying journey. So I've criticised this for years, even before AI overviews, this focus on top of funnel informational content, where basically no one cares. But you can solve this really quickly and really easily. Someone asked me earlier today, do I have a prompt for finding good bottom of funnel queries? And you don't even need a prompt. This worked before AI, it is really easy. So we open up Ahrefs, and how many people start is they would put in, say, lawyer, and then of course they got this whole myriad of different lawyer keywords. And this can cover everything. So we've got the Lincoln lawyer, seasons 4 and 3. We've got personal injury lawyer, probably more what we were actually looking for. So depending on what your actual keyword is, it's very easy for your good keywords to get buried amongst all this informational content. Young thug lawyer. So we don't know who that is. That's probably an actor in a TV show or something. So of course you can go through manually and look at the search results and try and judge, is this someone who's actually looking to buy from me, or is it just someone searching for information? Because I'll say it again, even before AI overviews, a lot of the people searching for information weren't in the prime buying state. That doesn't mean you couldn't have ultimately converted them down the line, but there's a huge 80-20 difference there. Rank for a commercial keyword, people land on the page, they buy, they take action, you make money. That's far better than they land on an interesting article, they join their email list, you forget to email your email list, and over time you've got to slowly warm them up and hope that eventually in 6 months, a year, they might just buy something from you. So to get around this, all we need to do is go up to the top and look at this Intents tab. We click on Intents and we go to Transactional. In fact, let's go with Commercial just for good measure. And then we click Apply. Show results, and here we go. So now we're left with only commercial keywords. A few of them are branded like Rocket Lawyer, but that can still bring you traffic. You can actually rank for your competitors. Software companies are very good at that, where you do one company versus another company and do a page on all those comparisons. And so you can basically get all that traffic from people who aren't looking to buy. They are at the bottom of the funnel and say, by the way, I think my brand is better and might be better for you. But here we go, a filtered list of people who are only looking to buy. We can take this further. We can say we want non-branded keywords, and do we want local or do we want non-local? Now there's different ways of doing this, of course. If you're a lawyer then you could put in local and then search through all the different locations there, or we can just put in the keyword lawyer Florida, and that maintains our filters. And then if you are a law firm in Florida, here's all the sub niches of service you can be providing, because again, we're only looking at the commercial and transactional keywords, people looking for a service, people who are ready to buy. Now you might think, what about competitor research, where you go through your competitors and try and find the keywords that they're ranking for? Well, you can do that as well. First of all, let me show you one other trick here. This is a relatively new feature in Ahrefs, where for years people have relied on keyword difficulty, but it wasn't the best metric in the world, because keyword difficulty typically looks at the backlinks pointing at the individual pages, which means you could have a massive website that had a domain rating of 80, 90, a big household brand, and they could have a tiny subpage that doesn't actually have any page level backlinks pointing at it, but it ranks number 1 because it's on a domain rating 80. It's a really powerful website, but Ahrefs is very likely to assign that a low keyword difficulty because it's typically looking at the page level backlinks, not the domain level backlinks. So I don't know if this is going to work or not. We've got Florida motorcycle accident lawyer, supposedly KD of 3. Let's see who's at number 1. Okay, that's a 45 and a 40. That's not too bad. But generally, a much better way of doing this is to look at the actual domain ratings that are ranking. So lowest DR in the top 5, in the top 10. Let's go with in the top 5 and say a domain rating of up to 10 in the top 5. What that means is, if there's a low power competitor that's in the top 5, they've got a domain rating of less than 10, which is nothing, then if they're ranking for that keyword, it's very likely that you can rank for that keyword, because they don't need that many backlinks to rank. So by using these filters, I'm now getting commercial transactional keywords for lawyers in Florida, where the domain rating is extremely low. There's a domain rating below 10 in the top 5 Google results. And we can see motorcycle lawyer, expungement lawyer, DUI lawyer. Now there's already quite a lot here, so we can even go further. Let's say 5 in the top 5. So within the top 5 of Google for each of these keywords, there should be a site with a domain rating of less than 5. That's basically a brand new website. Let's see if this works. And this is how you can find the very lowest competition terms in your niche. Lemon Law seems to be branded, so Ahrefs hasn't picked that one up accurately, but that's fine. Business lawyer Florida, immigration lawyer Tampa Florida, Florida clemency lawyer, best immigration lawyer Florida. So this is how you can find these extremely low competition keywords where you can walk rather than run. And if you get the ROI from those initial wins, then of course you can scale your link building, grow that domain rating, and then go after the much bigger, more powerful keywords with volume. Now, like I said earlier, what about competitor research? Well, if we take off that filter, here's another method of keyword research that uses kind of the same principles. It's just a different way of doing it. I'm going to look at Florida mesothelioma lawyer. So that's an extremely competitive, valuable keyword. The CPC isn't showing that high. I think this market is changing, but mesothelioma lawyers has traditionally been the highest value keywords out there, because mesothelioma is really unfortunate. It's the industrial disease caused by asbestos exposure. And it typically takes 20 to 40 years to actually manifest itself, but it's directly linked to asbestos exposure. And therefore, anyone who gets this disease is very likely to have been exposed, and there's a huge industry in lawyers going after those employers who knowingly or unknowingly expose their employees to asbestos. And the fact they've got mesothelioma is pretty solid proof of that exposure. So for that reason, extremely big payouts and generally quite a high chance of success. And therefore these law firms print money, and therefore every lead is extremely valuable. Now, I'm not sure about the future of this industry, given that it's now a significant few decades since the peak use of asbestos and regulation. So I don't think it's as rich a market as it used to be. But even so, Florida mesothelioma lawyer should be a really good keyword. Now, what we can see here is, of course, we've got a domain rating of 79 at number 1. Nothing new there. We've got a 58 and we've got a 30. So overall, fairly competitive, as we can see. But we can also see we've got a domain rating of 9 and even a domain rating of 19 at number 4. Now that tells us that this website is doing something smart. They're able to rank for competitive keywords even without a massive domain rating. They do have quite a high level page level authority score, and that's probably because they've got a lot of backlinks pointing at that particular page. However, if we're in the same niche as them, what we can do is copy that link address and go and find everything else they've covered. Because the chances are, if you're competing with them in the same niche, you want to cover the same topics they have. So for that, we go into Site Explorer. Now we paste in that link, looking at the full website, not just the individual page. So we can see their total volume. So they're getting 350 visitors per month. Now we can go and look at their organic keywords. And again, like I said at the beginning, this is going to be a mix. We're probably going to find they've answered a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of top of funnel stuff here, or maybe not. It looks like they've done a pretty good job here of sticking to more transactional queries. But again, in this case, all you need to do is look at intents, and then we go for commercial, transactional, apply, show result, and there we go. We only have their bottom of funnel query. Whereas you might find some websites that have gone really hard on content and they've got hundreds of pages of questions and answers. You want to clear out all of that and just focus on the bottom of funnel stuff. And you can do the same process again here. We know that this website is ranking with a DR of 19 for some really good keywords really high up. But even then, which of these keywords are the most exciting ones? Again, we can filter by lowest DR. We can try up to 5 in the top 5. And from that, from those 213 keywords, we can find the lowest competition overall. If that was valuable to you, then perhaps you're wondering about implementation. Obviously, this only takes a few clicks, but you've still got to do it. Meanwhile, we can't escape the fact that link building is still essential. Even if you've got that low domain rating and you're getting some wins, you need to reinvest in the link building to become that household name, that DR 50, 60, 70 that just ranks for everything at the top of page 1. I've seen it happen so many times, it's always so tragic. When a business or website does really well, they're able to rank that low competition stuff, but then they take a break and they rest. They think, great, we're making all this money. All we did was write some content. We didn't have to build all these backlinks. But then over time, they drop further and further down because the competition heats up. Content is actually quite easy and commodified to actually gain, whereas building that authority, building those backlinks, that takes time and effort. And that's how you actually increase your margin over your competition. So if you don't do it, it's very easy to get left behind. So while your competitors might only be building 10 links a month, in 6 months' time, you're going to find you are then 60 links behind. It's much harder to actually keep up. Because if you keep losing your positions, then you're losing your budgets, you're losing your cash flow in order to reinvest and keep up with them and overtake them. So it's with that, I invite you to an exclusive strategy call offer. This is not just about link building. We go through your site top to bottom, sit down with my team and give you a full 90-day roadmap. We'll work out all the things you're getting wrong, all the things that are holding you back, and we'll give you that path forward, the exact things you need to do to take action now to rank number 1 and significantly scale your profit. So all you need to do is click the link below, fill in the form, and my team will be in touch if we think you're a good fit. I've only got a limited number of these available, so don't delay, apply now. It only takes a minute, but that is your best chance to get ahead with these strategies like this, focusing on impact and results, not just processes for the sake of processes.